Welcome back to the swamp. You made it through chapter 1, so either you're emotionally resilient, slightly unhinged, or both. Perfect. Tonight we continue our story, deeper into the fog, where denial comes in pastel vests and the glitter is emotionally aggressive. I'm Teresa, and tonight you'll be guided by me through chapter 2, Glitterhoof and the Delusion Bunnies. It's about what happens when toxic positivity tries to colonize your feelings. So get comfortable, wrap yourself in a blanket, or a boundary, or both. If you can't sleep, that's okay. You're not broken. You're just conscious in a very weird world. Now breathe and listen. The swamp has something to say. The sad swamp did not usually sparkle. In fact, it had a strict no-sparkle policy enforced by frowning moss, melancholic frogs, and a centuries-old signpost that read in faded vine script, "Feelings only, glitter optional." Trees swayed solemnly, whispering affirmations in dead languages. The wind sighed like it had just opened a therapy bill. The fog was thicker than denial and smelled faintly of lavender and existential dread. Somewhere a bird chirped nervously and immediately apologized. So when a rainbow cracked the sky like a motivational mug with boundary issues, shimmering across the swamp with dangerous optimism, the sarcastic CareCats knew something unnatural was slinking their way. Kitten was the first to spot it. A shimmer, a sparkle, a shape that glittered offensively. There, standing atop a heart-shaped rock that definitely hadn't consented to symbolism, was Glitterhoof. His mane rippled like a cursed pride parade. His horn gleamed in 17 aggressive shades of pink, each one radiating unsolicited validation. His hooves left behind trails of shimmering sparkles that smelled like vanilla denial and overpriced optimism. And worst of all, he smiled. "Oh no," sighed Melancholy, dragging her cloud lower for dramatic effect. Her eyeliner seemed to grow darker by the second. "It's him," growled Kitten, the words coated in dread and decaf. Saspern's tail flared like a match held too long. His vibes are invasive and sticky. Glitterhoof pranced forward with the joy of someone who had never been ghosted by an old lover. "Darlings, it's time to realign your swamp chakras and sparkle into your best selves. I brought vision boards and gluten-free glitter. Also, non-dairy Aura milk." The moss collectively cringed. Doompaws groaned. "If he sings, I'm digging a hole with my emotional baggage and disappearing into it like a dramatic houseplant in protest." Gloom purred side to side that could water funeral ferns. "I tried writing a song about him once. It ended up sounding like a TED Talk, wearing a flower crown. It haunts me still." From the underbrush came the sound of coordinated, unsettling harmony. Then they appeared, the Delusion Bunnies, dressed in pastel, armed with glitter blasters and intrusive positivity. The baker's dozen of bunnies bounced into view like unresolved childhood memories on a sugar bender. Their eyes were wide, their teeth glinted, their smiles were drawn on emotionally and possibly literally. They sang, oh God, they sang. "Smile now, don't you cry, repress that grief and you will fly." The swamp made a noise like a groan and a gag at the same time. Even the frogs muttered something about musical boundaries. Gremlin screamed, "I swear to the moss, if they do one more rhyme, I'm starting a revolution with a spoon." Catatonic tilted his head. Rhyming gaslighting. That's new and kind of efficient. Anxiety backed away, waving laminated boundary cards like protective runes. One said nope in 12 fonts. Saspresso buzzed dangerously. Their energy is like caffeine brewed in denial, served lukewarm with a fake smile. Crankleclaw floated by, muttering, "They tried to help me let go of resentment. I levitated their sage sticks into a bog and blamed Mercury retrograde." Salt shadow emerged from a ripple in the fog. They don't feel feelings. They accessorize them. Mordekitten stepped forward, his fur bristling like sarcasm given form. "We don't bypass pain here. We don't glitter over grief." Glitterhoof's smile wavered. "So, no group affirmations? No chakra polishing? No vision board retreat with fairy lights and gluten-free enlightenment?" A bunny held up a pamphlet titled, "Hurt is a choice, silly." Gremlin ate it, not metaphorically. She actually chomped that pamphlet with a wild gleam in her eyes and chewed it like it owed her rent. The paper disintegrated between her teeth, sparkles coating her tongue like toxic sprinkles. She paused, tilted her head, and then muttered, "Tastes like gaslighting and fruit punch." The bunnies panicked. One slipped on its own glitter. Another tried to hug a mushroom and was immediately rejected. A third bunny softly sobbed while clutching a spilled bag of rainbow stickers. It kept whispering, "I just wanted to manifest joy." Gutter Meow rose slowly from a throne of damp newspapers and snack wrappers. "Hope is a gateway drug to disappointment, dude. Never trust a sparkle." Mordekitten addressed the team. "They want to erase complexity with a smile. We fight with reality, rage, and radical softness." Anxiety clutched a sock labeled "Backup Emergency Comfort." "Then let's respond, calmly, but with boundaries that could slice diamonds and a smile that says, 'I did my inner work and you should too.'" Cataclysm hovered like a storm mid-thought. "I can radiate precisely calibrated despair in 10-foot radius bursts, may include tears." Sasburn nodded. "Flank left, I'll ignite their platitudes with truth." The CareCats lined up. Glitterhoof looked at them, feral, fluffy, and all full of complicated feelings. Even he, for all his sparkle, began to sweat holographic regret. He blinked. "I'll just go journal," he whispered. And so the swamp sighed in collective relief. Whew! The bunnies fled, the glitter faded, and the CareCats stood victorious, not because they conquered, but because they refused to be conquered by toxic positivity. They returned to their usual moss meditations and gloomy tea rituals, each ritual performed with exaggerated slowness of creatures who had battled weaponized joy and survived. Gloomper composed a sorrow-laced elegy in minor chords, played on a mushroom flute that wept sap with every note. Her black rose vines swayed to the rhythm, curling tighter with each verse of loss. Catatonic resumed his meditative stillness, perched on a log shaped like disappointment. He stared into space so deeply and for so long that the cosmos itself seemed to shift, nervously glancing back until it blinked first. Saspern, tail still singed at the tip from suppressed indignation, stormed off to her complaint crag, a moss-covered boulder designed for formal grievances, but no one knows who Craig is, and began drafting a strongly worded emotional boundary notice to the rainbow, citing violations in aesthetic harmony and unsolicited hope protection. Each CareCat exhaled, not because things were better, but because they had reclaimed the right to feel, unfiltered and unfixable, in a swamp that never asked them to be okay. That night, the fog was gentler. Farther into the mist, a moss-covered monastery rose from the swamp like a forgotten wisdom tooth. It was shaped like an overgrown boot and smelled faintly of incense and regret. Here lived the Frogorian monks, a solemn order of amphibians devoted to the art of sigh chanting. Dressed in robes stitched from shed dragonfly wings and woven cattail threads, they moved in slow circles around lily-pad altars, eyes half-lidded in perpetual existential contemplation. Every dusk, as the swamp exhaled and the humidity settled like a heavy memory, the monks began their sacred chorus. Their deep, resonant rivets echoed through the trees in minor keys, occasionally punctuated by a single belch of divine insight. The sound wasn't just music, it was therapy set to croak. Gremlin once tried to join. She was politely asked to leave after improvising a scream solo that made a monk's eyeball retract involuntarily. Even Mordekitten admitted, in his journal, never aloud, that the Fragorian chants helped his seasonal melancholia. The swamp glowed softly in the moonlight, which had the emotional intelligence to keep its distance, and somewhere under a drooping willow, Mordekitten wrote in his journal, "Today we did not sparkle, and that was enough." And that, dear listener, was Chapter 2. Glitterhoof has trotted off into the fog. The bunnies are, hopefully, in therapy. And you? You stayed. You felt. You made it through weaponized joy and consentless sparkle. You honored your emotions, your shadows, your sarcasm. We're proud of you. I'm proud of you. Want more swampy truth, feral validation, and melancholic meowing? Just subscribe, follow, or you can even whisper your feelings into a nearby moss patch, because we will hear you. Until next time, stay strange, stay soft, and stay swampy. Good night.